Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the Pixel Lab. I wanted to go over this glass tech-shaped look and a couple of issues that you might have when doing depth of field in Octane and Cinema 4D and After Effects. So I wanted to recreate something sort of like this, and I decided to make all of the glass shapes in Cinema 4D and then add a bunch of HUD elements and screens inside of After Effects. So what I did was I built this really simple set of cubes, and this will be the glossy, shiny glass type look, and then we'll put screens on top of this and lots of HUD elements. So let me jump into After Effects and show you what I did. So I actually bought a little pack of HUD display elements from VideoHive. I'll put a link down below. But this is a really great product here with lots of different screens and HUD elements. So it has these that are actually 3D space in After Effects, which is really nice, and then a ton of HUD elements that we can add to the scene. So what I did was render out that glass cubes, and I just started layering things on top of it in After Effects. So here's a few different pieces from that pack, just layering a lot of them on top of each other, and by the time you add them all in, you have a pretty nice tech glass shaped look. So the problem is that I want to add in some depth of field into all these elements that we put in so that they match those cubes. So let's jump into Cinema 4D. Let's set up our depth of field really quick in our camera. And all of the data that we bring from our camera is going to apply to After Effects. So we have to set it up in Cinema 4D first. So let's turn up our aperture. And let's pick our focus, and now we have a really nice depth of field. Now I'm going to show you how to set up a Z-depth pass really quick, and one little problem that you might have, although we could also just use this camera. So we're going to go into our Octane settings, and under our Octane render, under the render passes, we can have a Z-depth pass, and that is under info passes. So let's check on Z-depth. You'll notice that we have a little Z tab that pops up. And we can also twirl down and go to our Z-depth, and then we can visualize it. So I've already set this up, but what you're going to want to play with is this Z-depth max slider. And if we drag this slider around, you'll be able to see that we can position this Z-depth anywhere in our scene. So something like that's going to look really good. And let's bring this in as a 32-bit so that we have more information to work with. And let's untoggle our Z-depth and go back to path tracing, and I think we should be ready to render. So let's hit render on here and render it out. All right, so let's jump into After Effects and let's import that Z-depth render. So that was the multi, let's import that. This is an EXR file. We're gonna drag it in, and we need to extract the Z-depth pass from here. So we're gonna use Extractor, and Extractor is free with After Effects. Just click on this empty spot right here. We're going to click down layers and click on our Z-depth. So this is the point when I thought I had screwed something up because everything's black and white and we don't have that really nice ramp that we had set up in Octane. And I was pretty confused as to why this was happening, but I had a person comment, and it was Jamal Bennett, and he said that that nice ramp is actually in here. We just have to play around with levels to find it. So let's click on levels, and we're gonna just play around with these sliders till we find our ramp. And you can see it's poking through right here. So I was playing around with these ones up here, but it's the ones on the bottom that are actually going to help you reveal that mask and dial it in. So this is the process if you wanted to use a Z-depth pass, and now you can use this in conjunction with camera lens blur or Frischluft to add depth of field to your scene. So if you think about it, all of the data for the depth of field, the aperture, and the focal distance is all baked into your Octane camera that we set up. And all of your pieces in here are linked up to the exact 3D scene that you have in Cinema 4D. So we can use that depth of field from the Octane camera. Now, to import it, if you don't already have it, all you have to do is import your project file. So let's go to our project file and we'll import it. We'll drag it into our scene and we're going to click extract, and that's going to extract all of our lights and our camera. So we'll delete the project and the lights, we don't need those, but we have our camera here and that has everything set up. So all we have to do is go to camera options, go to our depth of field and turn that on. Now you're probably going to have to kick up the aperture a little bit just so you can see what's going on. Let's dial that up a bit. But now you can see that we have that really tight band of focus, all just by turning on our depth of field from our camera that we brought in. And we can dial down the depth of field just by going to our aperture and dialing that down. And we can also play with our focus distance. So if we want to animate that, we can now do that on all of our elements that we've added inside of After Effects, which is really cool. So that is a much faster way than using a Z-Depth pass, although a Z-Depth pass does have some other really great benefits, like you can add fog or atmospheric effects. So those are a couple things you can think about when adding different 2D elements to your 3D renders in After Effects. I hope that you guys found that useful. As always, thank you for checking the Pixel Lab. Talk to you next time. Ciao.